welcome back to Smash and Heads Podcast. This is our recap for the Challenge USA finale.
The end has come.
Yeah, my name is Zach. I'm joined by my wife, Hannah.
Hey, hey, hey.
And we actually did not watch the finale until last night. And so I knew one of the people that won.
I miraculously remained unspoiled on everything.
Yeah, I'm going to assume if you're listening to this, you've already seen who has won. Otherwise, you're kind of weird. But
are you saying we're kind of weird?
No.
We didn't watch it till last night.
I know, but I said if they're listening to this and they haven't watched it yet, they'd be kind of weird to do.
Well,
but
I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, I knew Danny had won. Didn't know Sarah had.
This finale was a dumpster fire and a train wreck all in one. I've never seen anything like it. I don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, we got to get through the first half of the episode before we get to the actual finale part.
I don't like that they put it all in one episode because it made it feel like it was so long.
It was long. It was, I mean, we have the Paramount Plus with the ads on it because I didn't want to pay $100 a year for Paramount Plus. And it took like 2 hours to watch the whole thing. And, you know, ultimately I'm just ready for tomorrow, which is when the new season starts.
Hashtag best friend season.
No, that's not what it's going to be.
It is.
So, yeah, we did finally watch this. Lots of thoughts about different things that happened in this episode. We do have some of our new equipment in. We're currently not using the new interface yet. We'll use that tomorrow for the new pod, which, by the way, if everything goes according to plan, we will be doing the Ride or Die recaps the night of, as far as we know.
So recording tomorrow night. Yeah,
we're recording tomorrow night. But, you know, I assume a season premiere will be better than this finale was, but, you know, we'll see. But yeah, the new interface with the preamps and all that is not hooked up yet. We are using our new mic stands, which are very much improved over the old ones. It has made
such a difference, and I didn't think it would.
It's a big difference,
but it like immediately it's a big difference.
Yeah, so. Like these are the ones we had before were like $15 a piece off of Amazon.
I mean, they did great.
They're okay.
They held up for how many years?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
And we didn't replace them because they broke, but we replaced them before that happened.
Yeah, they were starting to get like a little wonky, and I was like, I've been wanting to upgrade them for a while, and so these are like $100 like a piece. Like these are much nicer, and they're so much more fluid. Yeah, they're
another 4 years.
They're
longer.
A good name brand. Yeah, these are much better. Still undecided about upgrading the mics, but we'll get to that in a little bit. I want to see what it plays like with the new interface, which is not hooked up yet because I had to buy adapters for. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff's happening. We've had to buy a lot of random things just since we've moved. Had to buy a humidifier today. We had a little one, but last night couldn't sleep all night long because it's so dry here that my nose started to just bleed all night long, and it wouldn't stop. And so I had to end up buying a humidifier because I guess the dryness of the altitude and stuff finally got to me.
We just went from one extreme to the other. And
yeah,
so I was planning on needing a humidifier, and we just, like, we had two. We kept one of them.
But it was a small one.
Yeah, I mean, like, I haven't noticed anything like that. Like, I'm sleeping fine. I have noticed it's, you know, my skin's just a little bit drier, so I've been keeping lotion on hand all the time, and I've been using a lot more chapstick. But I mean, we moved to a totally different ecosystem, so I mean, we're still adjusting. Our bodies are still adjusting. But I mean, we're here and we're clear.
That's not how that phrase goes. It's we're here, we're queer.
But we're not. So I'm not going to like falsely advertise that.
No, I know. I got you. I don't think anyone's ever said we're here, we're clear.
We're clear as in we're clear to close.
Don't know what that means. But yeah.
That's like a phrase in real estate. Like all the like when you're buying a house, all the stuff for like the lender comes back and the appraisal and then title and everything. And so once everything comes back in, they always say we're clear to close. And so I was thinking, we're here, we're clear to close, we're good to go.
I've never heard that phrase.
We're fine.
Yeah, no, it's just
we're here to have fun.
It was just one of those things that I thought I was gonna not need it, and then
I didn't think we wouldn't need it. I knew for a fact we would need it.
Well, we haven't really yet, and then all of a sudden last night it started. I feel like my nose is starting to bleed just because it was so dried out. And then,
but you do that every time we're out here. Like anytime
but it hasn't happened for a few weeks.
Well, you just got lucky. Also, it rained a lot, like the first week we were here. But every time we've ever come out here, and even when we've been out to California,
Palm Springs,
I got a sinus infection. You always get a nosebleed.
Yeah, it's probably kind of hereditary.
Your mom did it too.
My mom used to have really bad nose. She got her nose like cauterized, like they burned it to where it wouldn't bleed anymore.
Can you do that?
Yeah, that's a thing that they used to do a lot. I don't know if they do it anymore.
It sounds like an old school kind of thing. I don't know if that's something that'll fly these days. But I've never heard of it ever.
I used to get nosebleeds a lot as a kid, and I haven't had one in a long time. And then for whatever reason, yesterday we were sitting on the couch just watching TV. I wasn't even moving, and I was like, I felt like my nose started bleeding. It did a little bit, but not bad. But then what happened is when I laid down last night, every time I moved, like, like when your nose is kind of stopped up and you move from like one side to the other, like the pressure will change. Mm-hmm. It kept doing that all night long, and it would just keep releasing, and then it would start feeling like I have to bleed. So I'd have to get up, and I found our humidifier. That's a little crappy one from like Walgreens, and plugged it in, and it did help, but I just didn't sleep hardly at all last night. So I ordered a much nicer humidifier for the one that lasts like 6 days before you have to refill it.
So that'll come in, and
it'll help, and
then you'll sleep fine, and then you'll be happier just in general, and it'll be great.
Yeah, it's just a weird night. I don't know what happened. I don't know what caused it. Has to just be the dryness. It's the only thing I can think of. I don't know.
We literally live in like what they call a dry desert or something like that.
We're not in a desert.
But like the area that we're in is a subtype of desert.
Oh, I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's fine.
I can't remember what it is, but I did talk to somebody, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you guys are moving to a desert."
Well, I'll get used to it, and especially the humidifier will help for sure. It's just miserable last night, so I slept in a little bit more than normal today, and then where we're at today, for whatever reason, there was fire trucks and paramedics all outside our building, and
just hanging out.
I was like, man,
I was worried that somebody's
unit caught on fire.
I left for work, and there was a big fire truck just outside the building, and like at first glance I thought it was because from the front is what I could see. It looked like one of those like city like transit buses, and I was like, that's weird. I've never seen one of those like at an apartment complex, but I guess it's possible. And then as I was walking to the car, I saw the side of it, and it said fire department. And I was like, oh, I wonder if there's been like a fire, like a little fire, because I didn't see smoke or anything. And then as I was pulling
we didn't hear sirens either.
No, as I was pulling out of the parking lot, like a paramedic truck.
Yeah.
It wasn't an ambulance because it was like really, really dark red and black, kind of like the fire truck was, and it said medic on it. And I was like, oh, I wonder if somebody like an elderly person fell.
We don't have elderly people that live here.
Yeah, we do. I've seen some of them in the parking lot.
I haven't. Yeah.
They don't get out at night, which is when we usually get out. But I see them when I leave for work sometimes.
Yes.
But I was worried, maybe an elderly person fell and called for help, or somebody like had a heart attack, or like I didn't know. And so you texted me after I got to the office, and you were like, oh, they're just training.
Yeah.
No emergency.
I was walking the dogs, and I took them around by them, and they were just kind of hanging out. But that had been like an hour after you had seen them. And so I was like, hey, was there a fire? And they're like, oh, no, we're just training. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I just want to make sure nobody was, like, hurt. Yeah, or, because we didn't. That is a fear of living in an apartment, is that somebody will screw up your stuff because they do something dumb. But luckily, no one was involved. I guess I wish they would have alerted us as residents to said, hey, they're going to be here training. Don't worry about it or anything like that.
I mean, they're not bothering us. They're not in our building.
Yeah, I know. It's in the adjoining building. But it just made everyone think probably, oh,
somebody's hurt.
Yeah, something's going on.
Or somebody's been a moron in their kitchen. And that is something that like has not constantly been in the back of my head, but definitely something that I've thought about a lot of different times since we got here. Like, what if there is just a total moron in our building
the good news
that like
is,
sets their unit on fire?
Well, the good news is like our building and it's very new and state of the art, and there's very robust like sprinkler systems throughout everything. So I think it would be contained pretty well. I think they're planning for that. You know, if this was built in like the 60s or 70s, I'd be a little worried about it. But I've noticed that. So let's get into this 2-part episode. We're gonna go through it all as one big episode because that's how it was presented to us. I gotta be honest with some of this stuff, especially in the first episode. Like, I didn't really take a lot of specific notes for things.
You mean the first section?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I took...
The first thing I wrote was that we got a Kiki face reveal on FaceTime with Danny.
I made a note about that. Well, right before that, Angela told Tyson that the house was due for another water challenge because they hadn't had one in a while. The weather had been warm. Next note, he FaceTimes his wife Kiki, so we get to see what she looks like.
And his kid.
Side note, Kiki's beautiful. And then surprise guest star... daughter Zoe.
Is it Zoe or Zoe?
I think it may be Zoe, but he said Zoe a few times, so maybe it's like his little nickname for her. Yeah. His daughter is cute as a button. Like, I could just like eat her.
Because you're a cannibal.
No, but do you ever see like really cute kids and you just want to eat them?
No, for real, no.
Really?
No.
Really?
Really?
That's weird.
No, it's not.
I know for a fact I'm not the only person that's like this.
Well, that's literally the only note I took was Kiki face reveal, and then I wrote daily, nightly.
I put night challenge.
Yeah, because we got a daily, but it was at night, and it's just called Getting Tired, and basically you have 2 hours to swim and then get on this like abandoned area and collect tires and tokens, and they're worth different scaling points, and you just want to have the most points going forward.
It was neat, and then after the fact, I wasn't really sure why they did that much effort transporting everyone in the middle of the night in the pitch black in the back of like a delivery truck.
Yeah.
Like, I get it was to like scare them or whatever, but that was a lot of effort that didn't really affect them or how they...
It did.
I don't think so.
They all talked about, other than Tyson, about how like freaky it was. I mean, it's just theatrics. I mean, it's to set up and kind of screw with them. Again, I don't have a lot of notes for this. You watched it all. Pink tires were worth 20, red tires were worth 10. Yellow were worth 7 or 5, and then there was like blue were worth 3. Green
were 7, yellow were 5, blue were 3, and then tokens were 1.
Yeah, and you can only bring one thing at a time, and it's a kilometer back and forth each way. So you all saw Tyson got the first, one of the pink ones, and then Angela tried to get the other one, and she spent all of her time.
It was 2 hours, and she spent roughly an hour and 45 minutes.
Well,
getting it because once she got the tire, it said that she had 15 minutes.
Yeah,
left.
but that could just be editing. Like, they could just put that on there to make it look worse. But she didn't do good. She got 26, I think, total, which is the lowest. And I believe they said Sarah, who won for the girls, ended up getting like 42.
Yeah, because Tyson and Dom tied for first place with 52 points. Yeah. And then Sarah got 42 points. So she was 10 points behind them.
The only real notable thing that happened in this whole daily was it was dark and Ben took off running and he hit a lip of like concrete and like crushed his shoulder.
Well, yeah, because it was like he had gotten several tires already, and then he did like a little puzzle, like a tanagram puzzle. and then got it, was so excited he picked up the tire and like rounded the corner really quick, and he said he like tripped over concrete that was like sticking out of the floor.
Yeah.
Which that's not his fault. That's
it's whose fault?
I don't know.
Exactly. It's nobody's fault. It just happened.
Yeah, I guess. Another note, Danny said, as long as Enzo's here, you know what I won't be? Last place.
Yeah.
And you and I both were like, ugh.
No, I mean, he's right. I was like, yeah, he's right.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I was like,
it was
Enzo
a good
can't
burn.
Swim. Yeah, it's the first time we've had co-winners on one side. So Dom and Tyson both are the male winners. They split the $5,000 there, and then Sarah gets the other $5,000. And so Angela's the loser, which works out great for the whole Sarah thing. Angela tells Tyson before the winners and losers talk, which they have every episode. Mm-hmm. She just tells Tyson that she's just not going to say anything to Sarah about what she wants because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And so we get to the winners and losers talk, and basically Angela's just like, it's whatever at this point. And then at one point she just gets up and leaves.
Yeah. So Dom asks her who she wants, and she gives her little spill about how it's irrelevant. And then, they try pushing her, and she says that she really doesn't want to go against Alyssa.
Yeah. But they all knew that.
Yeah. But she's like, anybody else is fine. 'Cause she's like, we've been in the house long enough. You just can't pick someone like that. It's not easy. And then, Sarah tries pushing it again, and she's like, it's irrelevant. And Sarah's like, no, it's not irrelevant. And then Angela's like, okay, bye.
Yeah,
Peace.
she just left. Tyson liked that. But then we kind of transition into another FaceTime where Angela's FaceTiming her fiance, Tyler, which we don't know him. I've seen him on Instagram. Apparently he's from Big Brother as well.
I think, didn't they do their season together?
Probably, yeah.
I think that's how they met.
Yeah,
but I don't know anything about them.
Yeah, I don't really either. I knew that she was dating somebody because they posted pictures of them on like vacation together while this season was going on.
Well, it turns out they've been engaged for a year and a half, I think she said. So they FaceTime, and he's like decorated their whole house with like happy birthday banners, and he made a birthday cake for her. Which for me, that would the cake part would kind of suck because I love sugar. So to show me a cake, and that cake actually looked good. So to show me that cake, knowing I can't have it,
I hope it wasn't. He didn't really bake
suck.
a cake. I hope he just like took some styrofoam and put frosting on it because she wouldn't know one way or the other. And it's just
that's a waste of frosting.
You can still eat the frosting off the top.
Can you? Wouldn't that make you sick?
Why?
I don't know. Styrofoam is weird.
I didn't say eat the styrofoam.
Well, how am I supposed to know?
Because I didn't say eat the styrofoam. That's why. Then we go, like, again, we're already in the elimination. And it's a 3-way vote. Tyson picks Kayla. Sarah picks Alyssa. And then Dom picks Alyssa.
Dom was really the one voting.
And, like, I do understand picking Alyssa. Like, I get that you want Angela, but like if you think there's going to be any sort of pairs, which there was, that's a whole nother problem. I get Alyssa being the vote because Kayla has proven she can win things. And I believe Kayla might have been partnered with Dom on the driving challenge and they won. I think that where they were running into each other, kind of like Mario Kart.
That vaguely sounds right.
I don't know. I'm not for sure on that. But anyway, it's pole wrestle. We all know what pole wrestle is. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, Alyssa has no chance. Like, she's so, like, skinny and, like, frail compared to Angela.
Like, Angela is really thin, but she's strong.
Yeah, she's just a lot bigger than...
She is. She's just bigger.
Yeah. It's easy. Angela wins round 1 easy. Same for round 2. That's all there was.
I did note Sarah has a case of the Brad bug eyes in the confessionals during the elimination. Very like they're like her eyes are about to pop out of her head.
I didn't even notice
like
it.
Serious whatever was possessing Brad in that one season he came back in. took over Sarah.
Well, Brad's always kind of had bug eyes, but
I
they
know,
just got
but,
like
they were
exacerbated.
crazy. And what season was that?
Well, it was when he came back for like Final Reckoning, but then like also, or maybe it was Vendettas, but then also like the All Stars seasons. Like he's had. I mean, again, it's just that's kind of how he is.
But she had that. Angela, after she won the first round, she didn't want to hurt Alyssa. She wanted it to be like over as soon as possible, just to like, rip the Band-Aid off, end it. And like, I mean, there were several times where she like picked up the pole and Alyssa was like curled around it and it picked up Alyssa off the ground.
Yeah. I mean, that happens in pole wrestle when you got someone that's a lot bigger.
Now, not quite like, why can I not think of his name? I know who you're trying All
to
Stars.
think. Yeah.
Letarian did to Ace.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Letarian
was like,
Letarian
I'm going to kill this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after the elimination, like TJ kind of makes fun of Angela for hurting her friend and sending her home. She didn't really hurt her.
But Angela, like as soon as she won, she immediately picked up Alyssa and then cried and apologized over and over. And then Alyssa cried in her exit interview. But TJ was like, well, Angela, Alyssa's gone and it's all your fault. Yeah. And then Angela's like, stop, you're going to make me cry again. And he said, I know, that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, he was just having fun at this point.
He doesn't care.
After the elimination, you kind of get a quick thing where Ben tells Sarah he's going to get his shoulder checked out. And I don't remember if it was at that point or a little bit later. I was like, I think we both were like, oh, he's going to get sent home. Because they showed him saying, oh, I'm going to get my shoulder checked out.
Yeah.
And... but then they all get on a private jet and
everybody packs up and moves out.
We saw him getting in there, and on the jet they had a confessional where Desi was talking, and she says she's been watching the challenge since she was 11 years old.
How old is she now?
I would guess early 30s. I don't really know. This season skewed older than a lot of previous seasons.
Yeah.
I would say she's like 31 or something. I really don't know.
I just wondered, like, if she's been watching since she was 11, what was about the time frame that she started watching?
Oh, she's 37.
No way.
Yeah.
That's not possible.
According to Wikipedia, yeah. So 26 years ago. What
were the seasons 26 years ago?
Maybe that math might not work out, because I want to say the first season, the challenge season 1, I want to say it was in like 97 or 99, 98. I don't think her math quite works out, but it's close.
So she's been watching since about the first season, you think?
It seems so.
Wow, that's wild.
Or at least watched back then.
Yeah.
So, man, I had no idea she was 37.
I didn't either. I thought she was way younger than that.
Yeah, so
she looks great for 37. Holy crap.
So that's foreshadowing. Good Lord. And
Ben is still worried about his shoulder.
Foreshadowing.
Says he's going to just get through it and then rest when he gets home.
Yeah. So we get to the new area where they're going to start.
Patagonia, again, that's got to be one of their favorite places to have a final.
Yeah, I wonder if they're having... I don't know if it's that. I wonder if they're just... they're getting some sort of like filming, like a really good filming rate where they're like... It's cheap to do it down there.
Maybe. But
that's where All Stars 1 was, I think.
And we've had like regular season finals at Patagonia.
Probably. I can't remember if there were off the top of my head, but they were in Argentina. Mm-hmm. And so, anyway, they all get there at the start, and then TJ DQ's Ben. And
he waited till they all lined up and were ready to start.
After he'd already got on the plane and made the trip, and that's kind of how they do it.
Yeah, but of course Ben, like, he tears up really bad and like doesn't even say anything for a minute because he's just like, what a gut punch.
Yeah, but I mean, I do kind of understand it if he's like serious, because like TJ's like, it's not worth you doing something to yourself that you're going to be injured the rest of your life.
Exactly.
And
it's better to not compete and try again later than it is to hurt himself for life.
And so because I knew, and you didn't know this, but I knew that some people quit in the final. I didn't know it was going to be everybody quit. But I knew there was a couple people that quit. And I did write down that Ben, his parting words were, "Don't give up" to everybody.
I didn't even think about
that. And I was like, oh, someone's going to give up. And so right after that, we did find out, I didn't know this at all, Justee's parents lived through the Rwandan genocide, which is crazy. I've been to Rwanda briefly. Mm-hmm. Obviously not during that time. If you haven't seen the movie Hotel Rwanda with Don Cheadle, it's very good. It's about the Rwanda genocide. It's very sad. But it's I didn't know her parents were from Rwanda. I just assumed she was American, just on Love Island, I don't know her backstory at all.
Well, now you know her parents are from Rwanda.
Yeah. So she's talking about how they, lived through all that and she's not going to give up. Again, a little bit of foreshadowing. And then TJ says, if your partner quits in any of the legs, then you're done too.
You cannot compete without or leave behind your teammate.
And I was like, oh no. I was like, somebody's going to get screwed on this.
Yeah.
I was like, because Enzo can't swim and the first leg is going to be swimming. And
each woman will compete in one checkpoint alone.
Yeah.
To make it even since Ben was DQ'd.
Who was the last guy to go home?
Dom and Tyson.
What? No, who was the last guy to go home? Because I was thinking it would have been David.
It would have been David.
They would have brought David back to make it even, which honestly they probably should have.
I think that's what they should have done.
But I did like the kind of like analog algorithm machine that was just like cranks and wheels and stuff. And
you like the design, not the idea.
I like the function of it.
Yeah.
And so we get the first pair. It's Danny, Kayla, Dom and Angela, Tyson and Justine, Enzo and Desi, and then Sarah's by herself. And
Desi says immediately, she's like, at least I'm getting Enzo out of the way at the very beginning.
No, that's the problem. Like I immediately was like, there's a good chance Enzo quits or DQs in this swim. Mm-hmm. And then that means Desi goes home too, which sucks because I wanted Desi out of everyone to win for the girls. And
question.
Yeah.
The last like real water challenge that they did, not this nightly, but there was another water challenge earlier in the season.
There's a couple of them.
Didn't Enzo have to call for like a rescue boat?
Probably.
He like quit a daily. Because he had to get rescued from the water?
I don't remember that specifically, but there were a lot of people who could not swim because we had a couple of dailies early on that were swimming related, and Enzo just can't swim. And Desi said, she's not a strong swimmer herself, but she would have got there.
Yeah.
Enzo, he just panics, and they have life jackets on, and he just starts panicking, screaming for help. And so Desi starts swimming back to him to try to like, hey, I'm here. Like, let's get through this. The thing is, if you're panicking, whatever, you need to roll onto your back to where your head's above the water, and you can just breathe and float or whatever. But he just got worked up. He's not going to drown. He's in a life jacket, and there's boats everywhere. But he just full on panics and quits, and then that literally destroys Desi's chance.
He starts screaming for help, and that's when the rescue boat starts heading that way. He starts swimming towards it. Desi is like crying, begging him to wait, begging him to reconsider, telling him he can do it. And as soon as he touches the boat, he's like, I quit. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
And she cries. I almost cried because I was like,
that sucks for her.
Freaking sucks for her.
Yeah, that's like they screwed her on that. Because, man, especially, and I don't have any conspiracy theories or anything like that, especially if the algorithm wasn't randomly chosen. They're like, hey, these people are going to be paired up leg one, these leg two. Like if it was like that, then they screwed Desi. And that's just, now that it's not someone who just like, my agent called and asked if I wanted to do this show. Like, she's watched it since it started, probably.
Yeah, like there was a couple people that have been on this season that have been long time major fans of the show, that this was like a dream of theirs to be on it. Kylan was one of them. He said it's always been his dream to be on the challenge. And so if Desi's one of those people, and it sure sounds like it hurts that much more.
Well, it sucks that you're in the final and there's nothing you can do about it, because there's no guarantee you're ever going to make it back to another final, even if you get callbacks.
Exactly.
And I mean that it really sucks for her.
So once, they're disqualified because Enzo quits. Mm-hmm. So that means whoever's in 4th place.
Yeah.
Like it's fine. They're not really competing for their points.
What are you trying to say?
Danny and Kayla win the first checkpoint. Then,
which they were like third. No, they were like next to last. They were they were the last team to get on the shore, other than Enzo and Desi.
Yeah, and then Sarah finishes. Tyson and Kayla finish.
Tyson and Justine.
Tyson and Justine finish. So once Tyson and Justine finish, Danny and Dominic and Angela don't even have to finish their puzzle.
Yeah, because
they're just automatically 4th place.
So yeah, that's important going forward with the whole Angela situation that happens later. Is they never stopped. They were trying to compete. They were trying to finish. We'll see that as a pattern going forward. Like the people that come in last, sometimes you don't have to finish the thing because you're just wasting daylight at that point. You're not the points aren't going to get any better. But we'll get to the Angela situation in a minute. So the next pairing is Danny and Angela, Tyson and Sarah, Dom and Justine, and then Kayla's by herself. And we get to the thing, and it's an eating challenge. And it's like,
well, first it's a bit of a run.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm not going to recap runs in between.
Well, I wasn't either. It's just you got to run to get to the food.
It was an onion, like a whole onion.
Raw.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, probably a whole clove of garlic. Just
head of garlic?
A head of garlic, just the different cloves, like 8 of them or so. And then lemon juice. And
that looked about 16, 20 ounces of lemon juice.
I don't know, but you don't have to finish the lemon juice. It doesn't matter. The lemon juice was just to like help cut the acidity, probably. Like the lemon juice is to help get everything down, but you don't have to finish the lemon juice. You have to finish the onion and the garlic.
And we're not used to that. Usually food challenges, if it's there, you finish the whole thing.
But also, like, typically food challenges are really disgusting foods.
This is just
vegetables. I don't like raw onions. But I would much rather eat a raw onion and garlic than to eat a lot of the stuff they do in other.
Exactly.
Like in the first All-Stars thing, they made him eat like 2 like of the hottest like ghost peppers.
Yeah.
And then run. That's so much worse.
I know.
And
this is really not that bad because no, I don't really love onions either. But I mean, there's people that eat onions raw they bite into it like an apple. Like I know people like that.
You know Creed from The Office?
Yes. Garlic, that's not a problem at all. I love garlic on everything. Lemon juice, I love lemon juice.
I get that, like, eating that quantity of it and like when you're doing all that, it does probably get to you, but for the most part, that's a pretty tame eating challenge as far as the challenge goes with eating stuff.
This is elementary level eating challenge for this show.
I'd say it might be the easiest thing to get down that I've seen.
Yeah, the only thing that could be easier is that one, I don't know if it was an elimination or if it was just like a daily challenge. Several years ago, CT versus Shane eating chocolate chip.
That was an elimination.
An elimination, eating chocolate chip cookies and drinking milk.
But
now,
granted,
they were spinning a lot, but like food-wise, that's got to be the easiest thing.
I don't know. I think that'd be worse. Like
Shane was lactose intolerant.
I think that milk part would maybe be worse. Just drinking that much milk and then spinning you in circles, like that sucks.
Well, regardless, I mean this food challenge was nothing. I wonder if Fessy would have even done this.
Yeah, I don't know, but
because it's vegetarian.
He's not vegetarian.
No, but he was. He couldn't eat like pork or something.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Like he's
Muslim.
He had dietary restrictions, and so he said he couldn't eat some of the food.
Yeah.
And then Casey was like, "Well, I'll just eat it. You just eat the other stuff." And like he wouldn't touch any of it. But I mean, you got no excuse not to eat this. Well, Angela said that she's a vegan chef.
Yeah.
Was or is, I'm not sure. But she said she eats this stuff like every day.
Well, so onions and garlic are kind of like the basis of the majority of like recipes. Cooking, like in all cultures.
Yeah.
Just because it flavors things and they're available everywhere.
Exactly. So she cut her onion up a little bit and then just poured the lemon juice straight on it.
Well, yeah, she's trying to cut down the acidity of everything. And so Kayla was the one that really struggled with this. Ooh. And she said on the Amazing Race they had to eat maggot cheese, which I don't even know what that is. But she said she would have much rather
cheese with maggots in it.
She said she would much rather do that than this. And I was like, I don't
know about that.
I don't think that's and I love cheese, but I don't think that's the thing. So Danny and Angela get first. Tyson and Sarah get second. Justine and Dom get third, and then Kayla's last, and she's way behind. But she did finish.
Well, at one point, she wasn't even close to finishing her onion. Everyone else was long, long gone, and I made a note, will she quit?
I thought she might quit because, like, you're just stuck by yourself. And, shout out to her, she didn't. And then we get to
So everybody else had finished this checkpoint while she was still eating.
Yeah.
She did not give up. She finished the food and then continued to run all the way to the end of the checkpoint.
Which I believe that this next checkpoint was the math one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't make her do the math, but she
didn't do math.
Oh, I didn't see her.
Yeah.
I thought because everybody else had finished.
No, she
just had to run there.
No, she did the math part too.
Okay, well there you go. Everybody else had finished. She was in last place regardless.
Yeah.
She still finished the food, still did the math, still ran to the end of the checkpoint.
Yeah. So then they do another pairs. It's Dom and Kayla, Angela, Tyson, Sarah and Danny, and then Justine's by herself. And this one was a hard one to be by yourself because all the other teams split the numbers that they were memorizing, and then he used that numbers to get a sum, and then that told you where to put your wheel and all that. So Justine had to memorize 10 plus numbers, and then she had to carry the thing by herself, and she just came in last place. Like it wasn't anything super complicated. It was you did the math, and then you put your little like decoder on there according to what your math problem is, and then that gave you the letters, and you just solved whatever the puzzle was.
It was just tough luck for her because she had to memorize all the numbers.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's hard enough to memorize half of them and not forget one or mess up by the time you get to the end of your run.
So, yeah, then Tyson and Angela came in first on that. Danny and Sarah came in second. Dom and Kayla third, and Justine last. And this is one where they did just have Justine, and they're like, You're just in last place, but she never stopped. She was carrying the thing. She was running. She's trying to memorize her stuff.
Actively competing.
Exactly. And so she loses that round.
This was also the one where I think you were taking notes so you didn't see it. As soon as Kayla and Dom got third place, Kayla got excited and like turned and opened her arms to get a hug from Dom, and he immediately turned his back on her and walked away.
Yeah, I completely missed that. Justine gets last on that one, and it's just one of those, like, that's just when you're one person, there's not much you can do. So we get to the next part of the final, and the teams change again. It's Danny and Justine, Tyson and Kayla, Dom and Sarah, and then Angela's alone. And this is the
shoveling dirt,
the kind of overnight. We always haven't, for the most part, in a lot of finals, it seems, in the last 10 to 15 seasons, there's an overnight element to it a lot of times, and this is one of them. You're not supposed to sleep. You're not supposed to be comfortable. If you do sleep, it's few and far between.
Well, they said that, since everybody's partner except for Angela, that one partner can move the dirt while the other one can stand by the fire or like rest, like take a nap, try and get some sleep, but like you take turns.
Which that's been a thing going forward. I mean going back years where you can kind of trade off a lot of times.
But one partner always has to be like actively.
Yeah, sometimes it was
something.
Like cycling, other times it's like standing on a log, or there's just things like that. And in this, it was moving dirt, like literally just moving piles of dirt in a wheelbarrow and then dumping it. And
now, to make it fair, they did say that Angela had a smaller pile.
She should have. I mean, I don't know specifics, but she should have had half of what everyone else had because there's only one person.
Right.
The problem is Angela just said, "Oh, I'm probably going to get last place. I'll just take the 2 points and then go to sleep and be well rested for tomorrow."
Everyone was super disappointed in her. Like, she had been this beast throughout the whole season, and she was like the real threat in the game, especially as like the highest probability of winning for the female side.
Especially since Desi's out.
Exactly. Like, she had a high chance of winning compared to the other girls.
Yeah.
And so, like, the fact that she just decided to, like, deuces, I'm out, like, even I was really disappointed in that.
Well, when she did that, I told you, I was like, I bet they're going to disqualify her.
Yeah, because, like, she said that, and I looked at you, and I was like, can she do that?
Yeah, because the thing is, all the other people that came in last, even if they didn't make them finish said task, they were still competing up until the point to where production's like, okay, you're done. So if Angela would have at least made an effort going back and forth, what I told you, I was like, what she should have done, she wanted to be smart about it and still say she's competing, is if they're going to just DQ you after everyone else finishes, just take it very easy. Mm-hmm. Do leisurely strolls from the wheelbarrow back and forth. Don't
shovel nice and slow.
Don't overload your wheelbarrow. Just kind of take it at a leisurely pace, and then you hope once you get done that once the third team finishes, you can say, "Oh, I'm in last place." And if they don't stop you at that point, you could just be like, "Why did they all not have to finish their leg, but I'm having to?" That's different. Mm-hmm. She quit on the front end. If the other people would have quit on the front end, I think they would have DQ'd them as well. And especially when you're like, it's supposed to deprive you of sleep, and she got the most sleep out of anybody, it seems.
Exactly.
So
it just doesn't work like that. And do you think that she realized that?
No, I thought she would think that it doesn't matter. She's just gonna get she's just gonna get the 2 points and go. So Dom and Sarah get first. Tyson and Kayla get second. Danny and Justine get third, and then Angela's obviously in fourth. But even the team that got it done first, it still took them like 5 hours.
Yeah.
Like, it was a long time.
I wonder if, since Angela had a significantly smaller pile, if, let's say it was half as much, I wonder if she could have, like, if she had actually put in effort, maybe not pushed herself to her limits, but actually tried. Yeah. I wonder if it's possible she could have gotten, like, third place.
She could have. She's in the probably overall the best shape of anyone competing currently, other than maybe like Danny. She's a professional athlete, and Tyson's different, but Tyson's a lot older. But Angela is like Tyson's more like long distance stuff. This is muscly, and Angela's got muscles on her, and like, I think she could have came in like second, like, or third. I mean, like, if she would have just done it, because like, the thing is, the other people are trading off, and then you got people who are not in as great a shape that are having to do legs for a while. And if she would have just done it and then taken like good breaks, like, a 10-minute break every so often after every 4 or 5 wheelbarrows or whatever, I think she could have got it done. But anyway, she gets sent home. Just sent home, no money.
Next morning.
Yeah.
They wait until like TJ comes to wake everybody up.
Which, by the way, apparently their tent smelled like a way that he's never smelled before.
Yeah, he freaked out over it.
I mean, the thing is, if you had people doing that all night long, they're all sweaty and
all
gross,
they ate was whole onions and garlic and lemon juice. Yeah.
It probably that tent probably did smell awful. So yeah, they sent Angela home because she didn't try, and so she had a guaranteed $30-something thousand if she would have just finished. That's gone.
What an absolute waste.
Yeah. It's just bad decisions. Like,
also, she, like, in a way, she went home for nothing.
She's completely dominated this entire season from the girls' side. Avoided elimination until the very last one, and then killed that, and then gets sent home because she didn't do a leg
because she just went to sleep instead.
Yeah.
Like, that's so dumb. Also, I mean, like,
you know what, though?
Like, Alyssa could have competed.
But, but you know what? Like, at the same time, like her doing that and then seeing how many people quit the next day, it kind of doesn't make Angela's look as bad.
I agree.
Because Angela didn't straight up quit. She just took a calculated risk that, I'm just going to come in last and they'll just deal with it.
Yeah.
And it did not work out.
She did not outright say, I'm done,
Exactly.
I'm out of here. She was disqualified because
she didn't compete. She thought she had found a loophole.
Yes. And maybe that's like her big brother, like methodical brain kicking in. I don't know. I can understand how she was confused, but also you don't get to win by not putting in the effort.
Yeah.
I'm still just really disappointed that she didn't even try. I'm really, really disappointed, but
I mean, she would have won.
I'm even more upset at the people that just outright quit.
I think Angela would have won if she would have just done the wheelbarrow part. I think she would have won the next day.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get the start of the next day, and we find out it's an individual race from here on out. It's 10 miles. There's going to be a couple checkpoints along the way.
Worth double points.
Well, that doesn't even matter because
no
one finished but one person on each side. So we get to the first checkpoint. It's a puzzle. Was this the like honeycomb style puzzle?
Yes.
Yeah, Tyson finishes first. Danny, who came in there third, finishes second, and then Dom finally finishes third. And none of the girls had finished at this point.
Mm-mm.
And so then Justine gets first on the puzzle. She came in last and then got it done the quickest, and that kind of desecrated Sarah and Kayla because they were like, what are we doing wrong?
Yeah. And
then Kayla gets a second, and then they cut away from this puzzle, and we see that a giant Sudoku is the second puzzle.
Well, not even that. Like, it was kind of like sprinkling / raining at the honeycomb puzzle. And then as Tyson and Danny climbed further up the mountain, it turned into like a lot of snow. Yeah. So it's getting colder, it's getting wetter. Everybody's starting to get like more on the miserable side, which you usually see right before the end of the final.
I told you going into this, I knew that a Sudoku thing took out some people because I saw Wes kind of talking crap about it, like Sudoku took out some of your hardest competitors in this season. Like, what happened?
Yeah,
and it's crazy that literally took out half the fields.
I can't wrap my head around it. I mean, yeah. Plus, Danny said, when he was getting ready for Survivor, somebody gave him a Sudoku book where it was from easy to hard. And he said that's the only thing that he did for 21 days straight. Yeah. And so, he got through it relatively quickly.
Yeah, he blew through it compared to everybody else. I mean, it's.
I was disappointed in Tyson.
Yeah. So what happened with Tyson was he got to his last two numbers and they didn't fit in their spots because have you ever done Sudoku?
I've tried it once or twice, but I never actually learned like the process of it.
Well, it's just like you have the numbers 1 through 9, and then they give you some starting points, and then you have to figure out where the other numbers go. Because I believe everything has to add up to a certain number. I don't remember what it is. It's probably like 15 or something like that. I don't remember off the top of my head because I haven't done it in a long time. But you just kind of, it's like process of elimination. You start in one and you make that, and then you go bigger and bigger. And Tyson got to the end, and he's like, my two numbers don't even fit. And so Dom is just gone. Like he's just kind of standing there staring into nothing, and he's like, I can't, my brain's not functioning. So he's quitting. Tyson's like, yeah, F this, I'm quitting too. And because he's like, I have to redo this whole board.
Kayla quit
because she just was cold. Justine's never seen or done Sudoku in her life, and so she just like, I can't, I'm done.
She didn't know what Sudoku was. Yeah. Maybe she'd heard of it, but she didn't know how to do it. No, she didn't know
the rules of it. And
she didn't know how, so she's like, I just can't do this, I quit.
Yeah, and so you lost 4 people right there.
I mean, if I made it that far and I don't really know how to do Sudoku, you start putting numbers. You just stick them places. At the worst case scenario, you just put them there and see if it's right or
that's not a good. That is not a good strategy at all for this.
It's better than quitting.
The only thing is you would have to work. No, I don't agree with that. You would have to work out a process to what you think the rules are. You can't just randomly stick numbers up there and hope that it works. That's going to be like you won the lottery like 100 times in a row. Like, but if you could rationalize, okay, I think that this is the rules that you have to do to make this happen, then yeah, I'd say go ahead and try something. But yeah, four people just gone, and then it kept cutting back to Sarah, and she still had the honeycomb thing.
Well, at one point she had walked away from that puzzle, sat in like the
underneath
dirt
brush.
Underneath like a brush or tree or something.
Yeah,
it was
rain.
just sitting there.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, she's gonna quit.
She looked totally.
And I was like,
out.
Danny's gonna be the only one that finishes this.
Yeah.
And, you know, she doesn't quit. Danny wins. Sarah gets through, and she sees no one is at Sudoku. She's like, God, everybody's gone at this point. I'm so far behind, but I still got, you know, X amount of $1,000 in my account. I'm still going to finish. She does a Sudoku. She runs up, and she gets up there, and she thinks everyone's gone.
She thinks she's so far behind that she's just last and everyone else left without her.
And I think she thought Danny may have been last too, because she was just like, oh, it's just us left up here. And then he's like, no, he's like, I won. And she's like, wait, what? He's like, no one else came but you. And so she won. And, you know, like, I do have to give her credit for finishing, but I don't necessarily count her thing as a win, because because here's the difference. Danny was the front runner. He beat everyone. He made it up in all the time, and then the people behind him all quit. With Sarah, she was in last place. She was destroyed at this point, and the two people in front of her just quit. And so she just had to finish. And I think there's an asterisk beside that. I think Danny won. I do think Danny won. Sarah's, to me, is a little... she finished.
After everybody started quitting, I think that production was like, this point system doesn't even matter anymore.
It doesn't, yeah.
I personally think that it should always just be a foot race, and whoever gets to the checkpoint first wins.
Yeah,
I don't like the point system.
I don't either.
But if you take in the point system into consideration, Danny was far ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
So he was winning regardless. Even if it just came down to points, Danny won.
Yeah. And he was a front runner that whole second leg. Mm-hmm. And especially from Sudoku on up. And
I don't remember who the front runner point system for the girls was.
It was close. I think they were all within like 2 or 3 points. But yeah, I mean, it's just everyone quit, and like I've never seen a final where people quit like that.
TJ said this was the first time in challenge history that they won, or Sarah won, because everyone else quit.
Yeah, I've never. And here's the thing, like, yeah, it wasn't an easy final at all.
It's not the hardest one we've seen.
No, it's not even close to the hardest ones we've seen.
War of the Worlds 1, I think, is the hardest one we've ever seen.
For sure. And like that one, people DQ'd because they passed out
and were like on the verge of dying.
Like Maddie and Georgia got kicked off because they like collapsed in the sun.
Yeah, and the medic was like, "You can't compete."
Yeah, like it's not the same. And these people were just cold and wet, and they just were like, "I'm tired. I want to go home.
My fingers hurt."
Yeah, and I get it. It sucks, but it's what you sign up for.
Yeah, that is what the final is.
Yeah.
You say you want to go to the final. You're saying you want to go to that.
Yeah, and so
this was an embarrassment to the challenge.
I think that it shows that the people who do the show on a normal basis are really good at it are that much further ahead than these people that come in that I won Big Brother, I won Survivor, or whatever. It's like,
not
this
same.
Is not the same.
It's a different animal.
Yeah. And
I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, man, this is extremely disappointing.
Yeah. The whole point of the final is to push you to your absolute limit. That is mentally and physically
Yeah.
and emotionally. A lot of people cry in the middle of the finals.
Yeah. But it's not like this is the first snow where people have been cold either. We had people hike mountains and stuff.
There's the X's where Johnny and Camilla and CT and DM are partnered.
And it's like
CT almost didn't make it up there.
Yeah, they're wearing like hiking gear and having to like scale a snowy mountain. And like their overnight thing was if you came in first, you got like a fur line thing. If you came in second, you got like a
thermal.
Yeah, and then the third place was you
get a blanket.
Yeah, and like I don't know, this is a bad look for other than Danny.
Yeah. Danny was the one that didn't have a bad look.
And
in this final.
Danny's a professional athlete. Like he played football at the highest level possible, and football is arguably the most physical professional sport, and like he did it at the highest level. And so I had high hopes for him going into the final. And he always had a good attitude. That's another thing. Like Tyson
always had a good attitude.
Had the physical stuff to like endure this, but he had a bad attitude. Mm-hmm. And he just was like, F this, I'm done. I'm getting out of here. It's not worth money. And so Dom, I don't think, was physically prepared for this.
No.
Justine wasn't mentally prepared for it because she didn't know how to do some of the stuff. Kayla, I don't know what happened with her. She just completely broke down on the Sudoku.
And I mean,
and I figured that's where she would excel, was doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then Sarah was just stubborn and was like, I'm going to finish.
I had high hopes for Kayla, too.
Yeah.
Like, after Desi and Angela,
I wanted
Kayla to win.
I wanted...
Or Justine.
Danny or Tyson, and then Desi or Angela were the two favorites for me.
With them out.
As far as people I like the most, I wanted Danny and Desi.
Yeah.
Tyson's really good TV, and I do like him, but just on a personal level, Danny just seems like a nicer person.
I'm obsessed with Danny and his wife Kiki and now his daughter Zoe.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people compared Tyson to Wes. I don't think anybody's allowed to do that now that Tyson's quit in the middle of the final.
Yeah,
Wes would never. Yeah. He would let himself die there before he would quit in a final.
Just think about the people that are really good at the challenge. Wes wouldn't have quit. Johnny wouldn't have quit. CT wouldn't have quit. Jordyn wouldn't have quit. I'm just trying to think, like, Darrell wouldn't have quit.
Brad wouldn't have quit.
Yeah, like it's just like these guys are not on the same level, and because this wasn't even like I'd say this is very middle of the road final wise.
Maybe a little bit on the harder side, just because it was like sleeting.
It was
up the mountain. Their hands were shivering and they were having a hard time holding on to stuff. I do think that they should have had gloves.
They did. They had gloves earlier on, and
Tyson didn't have gloves when he was doing Sudoku.
I think they took them off because they couldn't pick up the pieces to put on the thing.
Oh.
And so, because you're dealing with like little magnetic numbers or whatever, and I don't know, but it was very disappointing. Final.
I was so excited about this final too, but once we got into it. It was just such a letdown. And it wasn't, and I told you this last night, I said the issue was not the final, the issue was the people in the final. Yeah. Because, I mean, everybody knows going into the show and going into the final, you have a rough idea of what you're going to encounter. You don't take someone else's spot who would have competed and who wouldn't have quit. If you're going to get there and quit, you don't take somebody else's spot.
And you know what I'll say?
I don't think Ben would have quit.
That's what I was just about to say. If Ben would have been, even with his shoulder, I don't think he would have quit.
Even with a bum shoulder, he wouldn't have quit.
He's got that military background, and he's like a kind of redneck style. Like I think he would have.
He would have done just fine.
I think he would have finished, and I think Desi would have finished because of she's seen what these finals are, and she's watched it forever. It seems like even no matter how miserable you are, I think she was like, "This is her dream. I'm not going to give up on it." And so, like, that sucks that two people who I think would have actually pushed through in the final, one got sent home for a DQ and the other one got partnered with a guy who can't swim and got DQ'd immediately.
I'm really upset about that.
Yeah. I think it's a very deflated way to end the season. And again, credit to the two that won, but man, that is. They're like, congratulations, you get to compete in the next thing with as far as like
you get to do it all over again.
Yeah. And I think they're both fine with that because they both won money, and I think they know what goes into it.
I think Danny will be excited if nothing else because he's gonna he and his wife are fans of the show, so he's gonna get to be in the same house as some of the people that he's watched.
Yeah. So here's the thing. If they bring in people from the main show, which I've heard that they're doing,
okay,
to compete against all these other world winners or whatever, so the USA, Argentina, UK, Australia, I don't see how the OG people don't just run away with it.
Just absolutely
even if you put CT and Wes and Jordyn, those guys are going to kill all of these people.
If CT, Wes, and Jordyn are in the season, CT, Wes, or Jordyn are winning the season.
Yeah, and I think
it just is what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know what. I can tell you, we're not going to watch the UK and Australia and the whatever ones. If we do, we're definitely not going to podcast about it.
Honestly,
we'll watch the world one.
Going into the final, when we first started the episode, I even thought, like, they were just showing, like, recap. I was thinking, I'm kind of excited to see this final. I might actually be interested in watching, like, one or some of the other, like, world seasons. After watching this, no way am I watching the other three.
It's just
not a chance because everybody quit.
Yeah, and that doesn't necessarily mean they would do that on other shows, but
no,
it's not a good look.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me not want to watch the others.
Yeah. And so we'll watch the world one whenever it happens, which I haven't even announced when that is. But we're looking forward to Ride or Die, which I know some people in our Patreon Slack group and stuff, they're like, this is the least I've cared about a new season.
Really?
Yeah. Because apparently, well, we'll get into it when we record tomorrow. But let's get into superlatives for these episodes.
Okay. Well, one episode.
Yeah, one long episode. Who smashed some heads?
Danny.
I'm going to say Danny.
Danny's the only one that finished, and he kept a good attitude the whole time.
Well, no, Sarah finished, but she won because everyone else quit.
Yeah.
Danny straight up won. Yeah. So I agree, Danny, on that one. For who got their heads smashed,
everyone that watched.
I agree with that, but it's Desi to me.
Yeah.
But
I don't want to throw that at her.
No. But she did, and it wasn't her fault.
She did, and it wasn't her fault. But really,
I mean, Ben to an extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we have to pick somebody on there, I almost am leaning towards Ben. Well,
here's why I didn't pick Ben. Because Ben hurt himself. He was running and he tripped. It wasn't anything out of his control. Angela,
I think the trip was out of his control. He said it was pitch dark in there and he couldn't see the floor.
But he's the one who decided to run and all that. Desi had no control over what happened to her. She even tried to proactively help Enzo, and he just was done.
Yeah.
And so that's why I choose her.
But really, my head is still smashed over these people quitting in the middle of the final, especially that close to the end. I'm just distraught over it. So the audience, the fans that had to sit and watch this final, we got our heads smashed for sure. Yeah. Like what an absolute embarrassment to the challenge and a disappointment and letdown to the fans of the show.
Yeah, it's not great. It definitely was a fizzle out to a season.
Yeah, I know. And it had started gaining traction for me. I was getting excited to watch this final. I'm excited that Danny won.
Yeah, I'm glad we'll get to see him again.
I'm really happy to see that he won. So I am excited to see him return. Yeah.
Not excited about Sarah, if I'm being honest. But let's get into to the book recommendations. It's the final one of
the final countdown.
It's the final one of the season. What is your recommendation?
My recommendation is gonna be Dan Wells trilogy partials. I years and years ago, I was running in Walmart, like out of town with my parents, and I always like to look through the book section just to see what's out, see, you know, like usually the name of the book and the cover will kind of like, I'll gravitate to that. So if it doesn't look, I judge books by their cover. So if it doesn't look like something I'm going to like, I'm not going to read it. So I picked this one up because it looked really cool. It's very post-apocalyptic picture on the front.
Is that a word?
Yeah.
Apocalyptic?
Yeah. And so like I opened up the front and kind of like read a little description of the book, and I was like, oh, this looks like fun. So I got like 2 or 3 chapters in, and this was like 2011. And I was still in high school, so I was caught up in like senior year stuff, put it down. I did not touch this book again until like January or February of 2020. Like COVID shut down. Or no,
it was March.
Maybe it was March. Okay, then it was March. So like COVID shut down because I didn't have anything to do. We couldn't go to work. And I was like, I've got books that I've started or haven't started that I need to finish. And so I picked it up. I didn't even start the book over. I picked up where I left off 9 years ago.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
I don't know how I did it, but I did. And I hate that I put it down so many years ago because it's actually really good. It took me a little bit to get into. And I think that's why I gave up on it. But it's like humans versus androids. Androids have taken over and are out to like search for and kill the remaining humans that are left on Earth. The humans are trying to retaliate but can't figure out how. It's like a whole adventure. And then I found out that there's a trilogy. So I am almost towards the end of the 3rd and final installment. It's a fun ride. Lots of twists and turns. I really enjoyed it. And it's like this trilogy is like the very definition of up my alley. So Partials series by Dan Wells, who's actually from Utah. I found out.
Didn't know that.
I didn't either. But as I got into the 3rd book, he described some scenery, and I'm like, oh, it kind of sounds like the Rockies. And then I looked into it and read a little bit further, and they actually reference like there is a portion of it that is set in like the base of the Rocky Mountains in Colorado.
Well, for me, I'm picking a comic series because I'm just gonna finish it out with comics because that's done every time.
Okay.
I haven't actually finished this full one yet, but I'm gonna pick it anyway. I've got all of the individual comics. I've got the trade. I just never fully finished reading the I don't know how it ends. But it's by a guy that I've already suggested something from him before. His name's Kyle Starks. We met him at Comic-Con in Memphis. He's done a bunch of stuff. I believe I suggested Assassination by him earlier. This is one that's called 6 Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton. And the premise is the world's most unlikable action star has been found dead, and his previous TV sidekicks are looking to solve the mystery. But how can you catch a murderer when everyone hated the victim? Now the sidekicks are going to learn what it means to be the stars of the show. That is, if any of them survive the stuntman war. And basically, this guy just dies and everyone hates him, but all of his ex-TV partners are trying to figure out who killed him, and everyone they run into hates him. And so it's like...
they're not going to help.
Yeah.
They don't care.
So Kyle Starks he has a really fun take on a lot of stuff. He's done a couple other standalone books that I have. One's called Sex Castle, which is just making fun of old 80s like action movies.
And the hero's name is Sex Castle.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's his name.
And he's supposed to be like a Rambo type guy. And then there's another one called Old Heads, which is about basketball players and vampires. And it's just he does a lot of really fun stuff. And so I recommend anything by Kyle Starks. He just did a horror series, which I have not read.
Not really up our alley.
Yeah, exactly. That's the first time he's done something like that, and it's called F This Place. But almost all the comic stores get the covers that say "I hate this place," and it's just about I don't know. It's just a horror one. It's just different from what he's done before. Most of the time, he just is really like dumb, fun, like lighthearted stuff, but with a really unique premise. So, the 6 Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton is the name of it, and that's my last pick for this one. Because I've got a couple other ones here on the shelf that I haven't read yet. I suggested Stray Dogs earlier in the season. I have the follow up to Stray Dogs called Stray Dogs Dog Days. I haven't read that yet. It's supposed to be upsetting as well. Again, that thing, Stray Dogs, I did it a couple months ago, was it's like Silence of the Lambs meets All Dogs Go to Heaven. And so
not anything I'm interested in.
Yeah, so anyway, we are done with the USA, the whole country.
Good riddance.
No, just the Challenge USA. We're done with it. I almost said finally because it's taken us longer than we meant for it to, but we also weren't initially planning to move in the middle of the season, so
no, that just kind of happened.
Yeah, so we're done with this. We start Ride or Die late tomorrow night. And,
let's go. Ready for a real season with real competitors who won't quit.
Hopefully, yeah. We'll see going into this because some of these people are a little bit unknown. But follow us on Twitter at Smashing Heads Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, and SmashingHeadsPodcast.com. Oh, no, sorry. Patreon.com/SmashingHeadsPodcast is the Patreon. We are revamping that. All the tiers are going to change in the next week or two, hopefully, to kind of get some things going in there. But we'll be back with you tomorrow.
Stay cute.